The Philosophy of Chess. Chapter 1. The Pawn. Part 2. The Price of Every Step. There is another reason the pawn confuses beginners. It doesn't capture the way it moves. Every other piece on the board captures exactly the way it travels. The rook moves in straight lines. It captures in straight lines. The bishop moves diagonally. It captures diagonally. The queen combines both. The knight lands on the square it attacks, but the pawn is different. It moves straight ahead, yet captures one square diagonally forward. At first, that seems strange. Why should the weakest piece have a different rule? Because chess is teaching another lesson. The direction of your progress is not always the direction of your greatest challenge. You may be moving forward in your career, while temptation approaches from the side. You may be building financial stability, while pride quietly enters from another angle. You may be strengthening your body, while neglecting your mind. Life rarely attacks you from directly in front. The pawn reminds us that progress requires awareness. Keep moving toward your purpose, but never stop paying attention to what approaches from the corners of your life. Now let's look at where the battle truly begins. Many beginners believe the edges of the board are just as important as the middle. Experienced players know better. The center of the chessboard is the heart of the game. The four central squares, e4, d4, e5, and d5, are among the most valuable squares on the board. Why? Because a piece placed near the center controls more territory. A knight standing in the corner attacks only 2 squares. The same knight standing near the center may attack 8. A bishop placed on an open central diagonal sees almost the entire battlefield. A queen in the center influences nearly every direction. The closer your pieces are to the center, the more possibilities they possess. Control creates options. Options create freedom. That lesson extends far beyond chess. People often chase opportunities without first placing themselves where opportunities naturally appear. They want success, but avoid learning. They want influence, but avoid responsibility. They want growth, but refuse to leave their comfort zone. The center represents opportunity. It also represents risk. The most important places are rarely the safest. That is why controlling the center requires preparation. One of the most common opening ideas is advancing one of your central pawns. Not because moving a pawn is exciting, but because that single move begins opening the board for the rest of your army. When a pawn advances, it often opens a path for a bishop. It creates space for the queen. It helps your knights find stronger squares. One quiet move can awaken several sleeping pieces. That is real leadership. The strongest leaders don't do everything themselves. They create conditions that allow everyone else to become stronger. The pawn never asks for attention, yet its movement changes the future of every piece behind it. Never underestimate the quiet person improving the position while everyone else is searching for applause. A pawn also teaches patience. Many beginners push every pawn they can, move after move. Another pawn, then another. Soon the position becomes full of holes. Weak squares appear. The king loses protection. The bishops become trapped. The pawns have advanced, but the position has weakened. Forward movement is not always progress. Real progress has structure. Every pawn move should answer a question. What am I controlling? What am I opening? What am I weakening? What am I preparing? If you cannot answer those questions, you probably shouldn't move the pawn. That idea alone can improve your chess dramatically. Strong players rarely ask, "What can I move?" Instead, they ask, "What should I move?" The board always offers legal moves. Wisdom is choosing the move that serves your future rather than your emotions. The pawn appears simple, but simplicity often hides the deepest truths. One square, one decision, one permanent consequence, and one step closer to becoming something greater than where it began.